And I said, you are. Get a little girlfriend, you can't keep more than 3 weeks, can you? After about 3 weeks, you may get on your nerve, make you sick. You stop, look at her coming up. And if we look at it, it's funny, look on it. I said, make you sick to your stomach, don't it? Start out, it's like honey in your mouth. That's make it real. But when you digest it, it makes it good. I got no help. I'm trying to show you something. Don't laugh. I said, let me tell you something. I was raised by 2 women, and now I'm your pastor. Stop. Drop and roll. You're on fire, baby. If you stand against that reality, against that favor, against that authority, you are going to be consumed by the fire of God's judgment coming right out of our mouth. Yeah. How can I be in that authority with the same experience and not have a truth that warrants you listening to? Yeah. I ain't playing. How you want to have a drug addict as a pastor when you can't discuss drugs with you? Let me tell you something. I can tell you some things you don't want to know about. And I don't want to tell you. I wasn't no little chimpanzee. I told y'all I was King Kong when I was out there. I was swinging on the Empire State Building with the woman and knocking down the airplane. I wasn't no little monkey running around in the zoo. They were trying to figure out how to take me out. Yeah. I'm surprised there's still any marijuana in America. When I found out they were still smoking, I was shocked. They grown some more. I'll be darned, and it's stronger. When if I had been smoking today, like I was smoking then, they'd have got me off that prostate building faster than they did. And here you come. I have hold and been a hold. Amen. I said, I've hold and been a hold. I've hold some holes and then I was the whole hole. Oh, a bag of dope. Ain't that beautiful? A bag of marijuana. You think I was addicted to heroin? People say heroin. I'm talking about a buzz off marijuana. I was crazy. But when you broke trying to be an addict, you have to do some difficult things. Ain't got no help. You have to go some strange places. I've been some places. I've acted out my life on the stage with 10,000 people watching. Prophecy is about history. And it's about God's manipulating of human history. Look around this room. I promise you, everybody in this room is tied to me historically. If you think you are, get private with me one-on-one and say something you ain't never told nobody. And watch my eyes light up. Because I'll be sitting there going, I hear you. I wish I could tell you what I want to tell you. Say what I want to say. But some of y'all won't believe. We have this authority. Let me tell you something. There are folk who can listen to me preach and be bored out of their mind. What's wrong with that? Oh, Lord, how y'all listen to him? And then the other folk listen to me. Oh, the whole world being changed. I wasn't called to preach to everybody. I was called to preach to somebody's. I know my members. You know how I know them? Because I feel them. And they feel me. But you gotta watch this authority, preachers. God has given you protection and authority. He told, stop the rain. You can shut up the heavens. He wanted the reader to understand the movement of the prophet Elijah. The the power he had, and the favor he had, that he could actually move against what is God's own permissive movement. God gave him that authority. Anytime you want, shut up the heavens so it won't rain. But you only got 1,200. And you're going to die for it. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This is serious to God. The return of Jesus Christ is violent, real to God, because it's a judgment to a world that rejected him. So we stand with power and authority and divine protection. But we have to be aware of the folk that's in us. Paul called it the inner man. You gotta understand that the resistance to Jesus is not a resistance to his sonship. It's not a resistance to his personhood, but it's a resistance to his consciousness. Truth, honesty, love, that's Jesus. All right. So you can't play the cute games. I get so frustrated with folk who try to be in a relationship with me because I don't play a whole lot of games. And D defines it. I thought about it. He says, Casey, what you do is you give people the freedom to be what they want to be with you. And that's more frightening than the prohibition to act like they're religious and pious. And I got to think about that. You know what? I should have thought that myself, number one. But since I didn't, it's good news. It has a probative value that I must wrestle with. So I lost hours of sleep trying to handle the reality of freedom. And I began to, I checked with Paul. D my boy. But D ain't in the New Testament. I run with some pretty heavy folk. Yes, I do. So I went and asked Paul! Pauline consciousness is so interesting because the reality of love and liberty, he warned the Christians to be careful with their liberty because it was impacting the freedom to be. Paul says, there is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. He simply said, point blank, do anything you want to do. All things are lawful. But he warned us, but not all things are beneficial. And so I began to grapple with that, and I started looking at the reality of freedom in the hands of folk who are bound within themselves is a deadly weapon. Because they will sit back and suck up everything they can learn about you and stockpile. And I know that. Stockpile your reality and make like they be in the open. And then when it's time for the implosion, they start throwing the deuces. Throwing the spade on you, cutting your dick, cutting your hand, checking you. And their understanding is that they're in control. But you've been set free from the thing they need to lock you down. Because you can't harm me like that. Because I came in your door free. And people who don't know freedom try to use freedom. That's why it's so scary. Just walk in it. Use a leper to say you're a leper. Quit trying to make that be a bad rash. You ain't no rash. You're a leper. You're not a woman of the evening. Because you do that in the morning too. That just make you a flat-foot hoe. A flat-foot hoe can inherit the kingdom of God. A lying hussy gonna bust hell wide open. Right. When you come to see who you really are, when you find yourself in that place that's frightened you so, you'll discover, oh, wait a minute. This ain't as frightening as what have I been running from? What have I been Well, I've been tearing up the room, hiding under the sofa. What was it that was scaring me so bad? Help me, Jesus. You remember the boy that was running from his brother? Old Testament, tell you what, who was talking about? Jacob, running from Esau. He knew, he said, you know what? He said, if Esau catch me, Esau will take me out. Because he tricked Esau out of his birthright. Point blank outsmarted him. And he ran and ran. He was so tall, just a running. And when Esau got to him, Esau said, there you go. And Jacob went, oh, Lord, it's over. Esau loved him. Something about folk who get used to running, who villainize what they think is behind them. Ain't nobody chasing you but you. Ain't nobody got no time in the boat chasing you. All them ducking and tricking you doing. You ever been on the basketball court and watch a dude slipping the ball all behind him, and you just standing there, he just slipping. And then he go up, you just reach over and block it. You seen that commercial where the guy come out, MMA, he just, wah! And then he jump out, try to kick, and man went, boop, knock him out. That's what you look like in a relationship. I'm saying, going, I can look in your eyes and see what you want. I love being around church folk, but sometimes y'all funny. There are more women in the church than men, amen? And I used to have so much fun when I was in the traditional church. I'm going to let y'all go home like I'm your time. In the traditional church. And this lady says, she says to me, she says, you just too good looking to be that doggone serious about preaching. I was flattered. I went, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, I'm glad you think I'm good looking. Yeah. Thank you. I try to wash my skin and keep my nose clean. My mama raised me good. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, my problem is the means. I got everything right about Christianity. This is the means. Now, I'm supposed to be sitting there going, oh, she's having problems with the means. I miss the means. That means, right? Now, I ain't supposed to know that's just free advertisement. I'm saying, why in the world would I be called to pastor you and sleep with you simultaneously? How did it work? That's got to feel real fun at the same time. Especially coming from a young man who has failed every major effort to be a husband and a father. I feel miserable. Because I couldn't get along with a woman long enough to make a family. I couldn't get along with her long enough. I couldn't. I accept that. 3 wives later, I accept the fact that my problem is I could not get along with her. I can't get along with a woman who don't value my mind. And there are men who can do that, but I ain't one of them. I cannot handle a woman who all childhood. Oh, you ain't got me one time to tell me to look like that. you done told that a whole lot of had to do with that. Gosh! And in the words of my second wife, John, there you go, that psychological stuff. I won't say stuff. That psychological stuff. I'm spending all my money trying to be a clerical genius so I can minister to God's people and be what I'm called to be. And you talking about psychological stuff? Oh, you gonna sit at home with me looking like Herman the Monster. And then we gonna go to the so-and-so and you got to disappear. And when you come back out, I don't even know who you are. These is problems. These ain't jokes. See, I'm one of them kind of men. I'm serious about the woman I'm with. You don't treat me like I'm no walking adult store, a toy store. You got to love me I don't need you to cook for me. I can cook for my brother to bake you. I don't need you to cook for me. I can bake a cake. I don't need you to bake no